What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan with a brand new Mcfarlane Toys DC Multiverse review. And today we're taking a look at Mcfarlane Toys DC Multiverse Black Suit Kryptonian Superman from the Superman Lois and Clark comic book. Which, now this figure of Superman, I had to get out of curiosity somewhere from like Walmart or Target or GameStop, wherever I got the figure from. So this was a Superman figure that I wanted to add to my collection just for curiosity's sake, because, well, once I get the black suit Kryptonian Superman from the Snyder Cut of Justice League figure with Henry Cavill in that black Kryptonian Superman suit from the Snyder Cut, I'll add that to my collection. And I know there's probably some other black Kryptonian suited Superman figures out there, but I think this is probably the only one outside of the Snyderverse one, that I've seen so far. So here is the front package of this Kryptonian Superman, because something about that Superman with that beard looks a little familiar, but it's very animated in its appearance, but we'll go over that head sculpt and everything else. So here's the front of the package. Here's where the Superman figure was based on from that Lois and Clark comic book, and also a back render of him in front of the, flying up, facing in front of the Daily Planet, with some green mist or smoke behind it for that background. So this is where he came from in this particular wave. I can tell that in this wave they have a Red Hood and Flash and Batgirl and the Joker. So this is where he came from in that wave. So I've been really looking forward to get this Superman figure. So now I'm trying to get my Superman collection together, because, man, McFarlane, as much as I mind him putting out a bunch of Batman, we definitely need to do more Man of Steel stuff. So with that being said, let's take a look at this Kryptonian black suit Superman from the Lois and Clark comic. Okay, now that we got the Superman out of the package, let's take a look at all of the accessories that he came with. First being something brand new to my collection, a proper figure stand, like the base and the piece that will keep the figure together. Because, man, this is the first time owning a figure stand, because usually, well, how do you do it? Because, again, I never had a figure stand before, but to keep the Superman, standing, well, like he's also, like, flying and stuff. So these figure stands will come in handy for future figures, and because figures like this, figure stands like this, well, I've seen plenty of videos on YouTube where people will use figure stands to, like, move your characters around when you're doing stop motion bits and stuff. So that's nice that they actually added a figure stand that's all see-through to keep the figure steady. Then you got these interchangeable hands, so you got some spare hands to switch out for the Superman. And then you got a file card, trading card, for the Superman and what this story about him is all about, and what this Superman is about. So if you want to pause the video and read before I move on, so here's what all the information displayed on the card about what this Superman was about. Because in most cases whenever we have a Superman with the black suit on, that's because in several incarnations of Superman I have did research on and watched plenty of the animated movies and whatnot, and even the Snyder Cut, that anytime that we have a Superman in a black Kryptonian suit, that's because when he's brought back to life after being initially killed by Doomsday, when Superman is dead, there's ways he can come back in the form of wearing a black Kryptonian suit. It's shown in several times whenever Superman battles Doomsday, and then when Superman is dead, and then Metropolis mourns for him, and then sometime down the line later he is resurrected in some capacity, and he's back with a black suit and the beard. Well, because and then sometimes, like, you got the beard, the black suit, and some longer hair to make it look like Superman is a Jesus-like figure. Okay. So this is what this Superman looks like, with all of the buff muscle and everything, and just overall detail on the suit is very well done. Even though I don't think there's any problems with the Superman that I know of, but I know some of the joints on this was a little stiff, especially on the leg area. But the arms are pretty darn well done, and and then you got So you got some really good articulation going on top of the upper part of the figure, but the lower part I do have some issues with. Plus, with him being on this blue background, he's just not standing very well. But that's what the pegs, or the peg holes on the bottom of the feet are for. To put on the figure stand too. So finally got a Superman that actually doesn't look over exaggerated like the animated one I had. And basically, even though this was from a Superman in the comic books and not really from any of the movies or the cartoons or any of the cartoon movies, but it's just the way how he's sculpted. He looks very animated in his appearance, but also looking more like an animated Henry Cavill, but with the beard. Basically, I figured that's where Zack Snyder got the idea of Clark Kent in Man of Steel's opening minutes came from, with like after we go over the origin again and we see Clark Kent as an adult, when he was as an adult with the beard and stuff, and then doing that lumberjack stuff like in that movie. But I think that's where they got the idea of a beard. I think that's where Snyder got the idea of Cavill's Clark Kent showing up when we first see him with the beard on and facial, with the body hair, chest hair, and all that. Even though, again, I'm still not a fan of that movie, so that's a disclaimer. But I can see some of that resemblance, but it can come off looking like a Henry Cavill-esque Superman figure. But this is from a Superman comic that was a little bit before this, or like a decade or two before the Snyder movie, 2013 Snyder film. So you got to think about that in consideration. And I do like the metallic silver finish done on the belt and the Kryptonian S symbol on Superman. So that's great. This is one of many black suit Supermans where he doesn't come with a cape. So I'm fine with that. I mean, not all heroes wear capes. Well, and not all versions of Superman is going to wear a cape either. So you got to think about that in consideration. Articulation. Okay, so you can turn his head around and up and down and all of that. So you got that. And then his upper chest area can swivel and turn around too. So you got that amount of movement. Butterfly joints. Well, again, knowing Mcfarlane, butterfly joints are limited, so you can't really do much. Elbow crunches are very superb on this Superman. I really dig it. Although you just gotta put some more elbow grease. Well, I almost broke the joint on the figure, but I'm just trying to bend that elbow on this arm, but I can probably do it on this arm. I do this a lot with a lot of my collectible figures, but TMI. So here's the elbow crunch on the arms, and the hands could turn as well. So there you go. See how the arms are on this figure, especially when you spin them around. Now the legs I did had a problem with at first, but now the knee crunch on this is not that good though. That's what throws it away, is that now the knee crunch on this leg is a bit tough, but I can get it on this leg, but just I don't know why I just can't get it on this leg for some reason. Why is it so stiff and hard? I mean, I don't want to try to break the figure, but yeah, that's the problem with this figure and its joints. Is this is yet another stiff figure from Mcfarlane. You got toe articulation, you can flip the toes and tilt the feet too as well, and ankle pivots are good too, so no complaints there. And that's it. And now let's take a look at Superman in the base stand, his little figure stand. I think you got to open the figure stand a little bit, but I get the point of the use of this thing. So you got to open this stand, open the latch of this thing up, the claw piece for the figure stand, so we can get Superman in, and then stick him in there like he's flying or something, because this is the first time owning a figure stand for plenty of my figures. And actually, he doesn't look so bad on the figure stand, but I'm just trying to get it together and have him standing like this, like he's like levitating, warning Metropolis and all of that of his return or so. Though since due to the heavy amount of weight on this Superman, the figure stand is a little flimsy. But again, I think that's what most figure stands are supposed to be. But if you're going to have figure stands for figures like this, you got to be very careful. But that's just for me though. And I'm even telling myself that. I know it's weird. But okay, so we just gotta put that figure stand so we can get the Superman being straightened like that. And you know, I wish I had figure stands like this for several of my Superman figures, and also figures for other heroes that do have flight abilities. So let's make them do a little flight pose, and then here you have that. So that's it for my review on the Lois and Clark black Kryptonian suited Superman figure, and that's just about it. I think this figure is really darn good, although I've had some issues with the joints on some parts, but this was still an alright figure. I highly recommend it though. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys next time with a brand new review, whether it be DC, Marvel, and other reviews to come.